Okay, let's get this started. Pull up chat. This is happening again. What did I do last time? Just had to wait. Fresh. Okay. Hmm. This one just take time. Let's check here. You're live on Twitch. Kick. Kick is not loaded. Right, there it is. Let's make these two work. Should they still do? Okay. It's just YouTube. Yeah, it looks like that one just takes some time for some reason. Yeah. Okay. Chat's working. Perfect. All right. So today I was gonna check into a couple videos. I want to look through some news stories, and we've got Trump's whole ultimatum coming to a head really soon, actually. I think we're gonna start there. Trump has given Iran an ultimatum that ends today at midnight or 8 p.m. his time. Where's the best place to keep track of this and what's happening? Let's just see. Like, what are the odds he's gonna back down and extend it again like the last two times, or follow through? I have to see. Best place to track live developments. Okay. It says the follow on X. The moon stuff. That too. Second. Pin though. I mean, like we just passed the time. So where can we find an update? White House. White House 45. Assume we want the White House. 16 minutes. Here we go. Let's have have a look at this. On behalf of the Islamic Republic of Iran, gratitude of brothers, he, Prime Minister Pakistan, Sharif E. H.E. Field Marshal Winfrey, for their tireless efforts to end the war in the region in response to the brotherly request of PM Sharif in his tweet considering the request by the U.S. for negotiations based on its 15-point proposal as well as announcement by POTUS about acceptance of the general framework of Iran's 10-point proposal as a basis for negotiation. I hereby declare on behalf of Iran's Supreme National Security Council. Official statement of Iran. If attacks against Iran are halted, our powerful armed forces will cease their defensive operations. For a period of 2 weeks, safe passage to the Strait of Hormuz is possible via coordination with Iran armed forces and due consideration of technical limitations. So they're stating they want to look at the peace proposals and pause the war for a period of 2 weeks. And is this their response to his, I'm going to bomb everything? President Donald Trump statement 1 hour ago. Let's read this one. Based on conversation with Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, same guy that that Iran was talking about, Field Marshal Azim Muri, Pakistan, and wherein they requested that I hold off the destructive force being sent tonight to Iran, subject to the Islamic Republic of Iran agreeing to the complete, immediate, and safe operations of the Strait of Hormuz. I agreed to suspend the bombing and attack of Iran for a period of 2 weeks. So he is agreeing to their 2-week peace. Be a double-sided ceasefire. Reason for doing so is that we have already met and exceeded all military objectives and are very far along with a definitive agreement concerning long-term peace with Iran. We received a 10-point proposal from Iran. It is a workable basis on which to negotiate. Almost all of the various points of past contentment states in Iran. But a 2-week period will allow the agreement to be finalized and consummated. On behalf of the United States of America, President and also representing the honor to have this long-term problem close to resolution. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Okay, so it sounds like as of like an hour ago, they have moved it back 2 more weeks to discuss peace. I mean, it's better than ending up in a bombing all their power plants. And the whole problem with negotiations with Iran is that they've always used it to buy time. He keeps saying that they're showing up in good faith this time, but I mean, I haven't seen that. Okay, so it doesn't look like we're going to get a bombing tonight. Looks like a 2-week ceasefire has been called. Hopefully that leads to something. Anyway, let's look up. Artemis 2. Didn't get to 2. Whatever. Ooh. Here we go. Cut. Three. Alright, let's look at Artemis 2. Oh, Moon, it's great to be back. Here's a taste of what the Artemis 2 astronauts photographed during their flight around the moon. Check out more photos from the mission. See the photo. Can't we see these in like, gotta be like 4K or something, right? That, and it's crazy how when you're in space you can't see the stars. When it blocks out the sun, you can see a little bit. Why is that? When you're in space taking images, why can't you see the stars? The main reason you don't see the stars in most images taken by astronauts in space is camera exposure settings, not because the stars aren't there. So they can see the stars and you just can't get an image of them. Space photos usually focus on bright subject. Sunlit astronaut in a white spacesuit, the Earth surface, or a spacecraft. These objects reflect a lot of intense sunlight, so the camera uses a short exposure time or smaller aperture to avoid exposing the main subject into pure white. Oh, so it's just the difference between what's in the image and the stars. You took an image specifically of the stars, you could see them. Have something else like a planet or a moon, person, or ship in that image, you have to change the exposure so that you can see that object. The edge of the lunar day. Look at how many times that thing's been hit. Doesn't have the atmosphere to protect it like we do. So this is the far side of the moon. You got eclipse. That. So they're on their way home now. See a little bit of stars. This one you get stars. That's so that they can like look at the sun. Ship, moon, Earth. Damn. Look at that. Well, so far, from what I understand, other than like a clogged toilet, I got clogged with ice, things have been going pretty well. Well, that's them taking their images. This one. as we lose it behind the moon. I mean, we finally going back to the moon. Look, look at the difference between the side we see towards us and the side away from us. Like that has been hit so many more times compared to the side we see. That's it's tidally locked. Right? It's always the same side is always facing us. Well, that's cool. As far as I understand, they're not really doing much up there except taking pictures. It's mostly a proof of concept kind of thing where, like, yes, we get here, it all works. Are there any problems that come up, like freezing ice toilet? How do we fix that for a longer mission where people actually land? And maybe even set up a moon base. I heard the Artemis 2 rocket had an issue with the toilets. Could you go into more detail? Because this is the only issue I've heard of so far. Okay. Stop scroll. Yes, there were a couple minor issues with the toilet, officially called the Universal Waste Management System. On NASA's Artemis 2 Orion spacecraft shortly after launch and during the early days of the mission. Does that mean it's solved now? Artemis 2 is the crewed test flight that launched 4 astronauts. Okay. The first issue, shortly after launch in Earth orbit, 10 hours of launch while the crew low Earth orbit and performing proximity operation demonstration. They know blinking fault light on the toilet. Astronaut Christina Koch reported the problem to mission control. The main symptom jammed fan in the urinal collection / processing part of the system. This fan helps with airflow to separate. Okay, as a result, the toilet could still handle solid waste. Urine collection was impaired. Astronauts had access to backup collapse contingency urinals, high-tech bags as a temporary workaround. Collapsible contingency urinals. Basically bags as a temporary workaround. Like, you don't want urine floating around in space. The crew with guidance from Houston flight controllers was able to resolve the electronic fan controller fault relatively quickly, within hours to a day. NASA confirmed the toilet was restored to normal operations after the fix. So this isn't the one I heard about. The second issue, around day 3 to 4 of the mission, the spacecraft was more than halfway to the moon. Another waste management problem appeared. Difficulty dumping urine overboard from the wastewater tank. So it could collect the urine, could not remove the urine. Oh, give me a second. Got to update some stream information. Talking tournament. Do you have an Hopefully that fixed it. Okay, so I think this is the one that I've heard about. Difficult dumping urine overboard from the wastewater tank. Flight director indicated it was likely due to frozen urine blocking the vent line. Urine can freeze in the cold vacuum exposed lines when not properly managed or heated. The crew was instructed to use backup urine collection devices overnight while controllers worked on a solution. The fix involved rotating the spacecraft, a barbecue roll maneuver, warm the frozen line by exposing it to sunlight. It's crazy how temperature change works so drastically, whether you're in the light or not. This partially cleared the blockage, allowing some urine to be vented into space. Efforts continued to fully resolve any stubborn clogs. By the latest report, the toilet was operational again for both solid and liquid waste, though NASA continued monitoring it. The wastewater tank was not full. The issue did not threaten the mission or the health. The original mission to the moon, they only had the bags. And that's how they did it. Being fancy this time, we sent them with a toilet. It has so many problems. Okay, what else do we got? New footage from shows the lunar lander's view from 60 miles, 100 kilometers above the moon. Blue Ghost will land at Chasm on the near side of the moon March 2nd. No earlier than. Okay, let's have this. 1080. Does that have like a solar panel on unfolding? And we're finally exploring space again. This is awesome. NASA are passing close to the. That wasn't this mission. This is their flyby? Doesn't look like they got as close to the surface of it. Man, it's crazy that we can do this. They're thinking of putting base there too. Artemis 2. I don't think we're going to come across anything more than what we've already seen. That's why they were sent. That is now officially on the dark side of the moon until someone disproves it. All the crew. Okay. There's the team. I don't think we're going to see anything else new. All right, let's look up some other news stories. New chat. I created something for. Give me a search. Can you give me the news for the past week? All right, let's see what it does. If I remember correctly, oh, here we go. Let's see. Cut this video. Those are yesterday's. Day. Current. Okay. Ah, all right. Let's go through some news stories and movie. Two. Oh, there's a couple new ones. Seen some of these though. Tariffs are killing small businesses. The silent bailout. Oh, two new ones. I guess they're all pretty. To find something else. Well, we're gonna go through the news here, and that'll probably give us something to talk about. Right. Still working. Everything's all right. So, Canada achieves NATO's 2% defense spending target. After years of falling short, Canada officially reached the NATO benchmark of 2% of GDP on defense. Investment is exceeding 60 to 63 billion last year. Increased focus on military infrastructure. Why it matters, this milestone strengthens Canada's alliance commitments, national security posture amid global tension. So, if I remember correctly, they're actually aiming for more than 2%. 2% was the baseline. Both Europe and Canada are expected to start spending. Last I checked, wasn't the US like 4.5% of GDP? How much of the US's GDP do they spend on defense or just their military? Yeah, because I think I remember hearing like 5% was new targets, but I don't think that those really like aspirational targets, not the hard targets set by the NATO alliance. As of 2026, the United States spends approximately 3.3 to 3.4% of its gross domestic product on defense and military expenditures. So even lower than I was thinking. Well, that percentage might sound small. It's in absolute dollars, it's the largest in the world by a lot, recently crossing this significant historical threshold. Here's a breakdown of what that looks like today. I'm going to go down to the depths. Renewal of Pacific salmon strategy. Federal government announces salmon strategy, and if it's under Canada's nature strategy to protect and build wild Pacific salmon populations in British Columbia and matters. Salmon are vital to ecosystem. Okay, don't care too much about that. Alberta introduced Immigration Oversight Act. Alberta's government tabled Bill 26 to enhance provincial control over immigration, including employer registration for temporary foreign worker program and licensing for consultants, particularly relevant to the province's labor needs. It could reshape workforce access in energy and agriculture sectors while addressing federal provincial tension. Alberta introduces Immigration Oversight Act. I heard that Alberta introduced Immigration Oversight Act. Is there a good news video that can explain this in more detail? Let's see if we can't get like a news covering this somewhere. Oh, 22 minutes.
Good evening, I'm Nicole Weisberg. This is CTV News at 5. Tonight, a historic moment. People here in Edmonton and around the globe gather to watch NASA's mission to the moon. Not a hate crime. Police give an update on a deadly shooting on the QE2. And changing roles in the classroom. Why some say new legislation amounts to teacher censorship.
I did not hear the story that we're here to listen to. Alberta targets immigration with new bill.
Local breaking news with Nicole Weisberg.
Just moments ago, Artemis 2 launched from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida.
See if I can't find talk about.
Conversation on topics and viewpoints that are unfairly silenced in classrooms. However, some teachers say the legislation amounts to censorship and adds additional stress when schools are facing more serious and immediate struggles. CTV's Jeremy Thompson reports.
I think every teacher starts off with the premise of we all have our own opinion.
In his 30-plus years teaching social studies to junior high students, Gary Nelson says the goal
would give the province information it was not model. Well, police have made another arrest in connection with a lottery dream home.
And helping
all of those patients.
A week ago, John Maloney, a blind man approved for medical assistance in dying, went through with the MAID procedure.
Live on in these people.
World of science. Well, this is the first time in more than 50 years that astronauts are flying to the moon. Millions of people around.
I'm here. I'm actually joined by Joel Weatherly, who is a lead science presenter at the TELUS World of Science. It's a really exciting time. Tell me a little bit now that Artemis 2 is in space. What is happening now for their journey?
Is this title just a lie?
For the first time this season, the Oilers have won 4 in a row.
4 and Red Deer as well as Jasper.
Is also giving the city.
Yeah, it looks like that's just a lie. Alberta's immigration minister discussed new bill. That looks way too dry to watch. There's no way. Okay, we're just gonna go through the summary of it through AI. Key details of the act. Clearly this. Oh. 5:31. Is that a timestamp for this video?
In the union's top issues. Jeremy Thompson, CTV News, Edmonton.
The province is putting forward legislation that would give it more power over immigration. The Immigration Oversight Act would require employers to register with the province before accessing federal temporary foreign worker programs. It would also create a licensing system for immigration consultants and recruiters. Alberta's immigration minister says Bill 26 would give the province information it was not receiving from Ottawa and put up safeguards for workers.
We're taking all legal means possible, which is in my mandate letter from the Premier, to take more control over provincial immigration. And in doing so, it will support the businesses in Alberta, and it will create a more transparent process for people coming from out of country to work.
The province says these tools.
I mean, like, I see that as largely a good idea. The province, you're not getting certain information from the federal government on immigration. You should set up your own system to give you that information, because I heard somewhere do this one. I remember hearing that the Canadian government was not showing specific immigration data anymore. Can you give me more information about that? Like, I remember that they were limiting the amount of immigration information that they were collecting and providing to the public. I also think that they went back on that. I don't really remember. So hopefully this will figure it out. Thinking mode. Okay. Finish
Rules
this.
are already in place in Saskatchewan and BC. If passed, the legislation
So they're just introducing rules that are already in place in other areas.
would be implemented over time. The UCP government is also proposing changes to legislation to implement parts of the budget. The UCP introduced Bill 27.
Okay. Okay. There has been quite a bit of noise lately about transparency in Canada's immigration reporting. While the government hasn't stopped publishing data entirely, recent shifts in how they count and share information have led to accusations that specific numbers are being obscured. Confusion generally stems from three major developments in early 2026. The incremental number, the PBO report. In late February 2026, the Parliamentary Budget Office released a report that caused a stir. It revealed that while the official immigration levels listed a target of 380,000 permanent residents per year, The government is running one-time initiatives to fast-track another 148,000 people into permanent residency over 2026 and 2027. So shouldn't that be put with the first number? The parliamentary budget officer noted that these 148,000 admissions are considered incremental and are not included in the official 380,000 figure. Critics and opposition members have argued this is a way of hiding the actual intake, make the numbers look lower and more sustainable to the public. I mean, that's exactly what it's doing, because when I was looking up immigration levels, this is the only number I came across. And so now they're telling me that number is not the whole story, and that they're letting in immigrants and they're making immigrants into permanent residents through an incremental system that is not counted in the official yearly data. Like that feels wrong. This number should be grouped with this number. Bill C-12 and data withholding. The Strengthening Canada Immigration Systems and Border Act, which passed in March 2026, changed the rules for how the federal government shares data with the provinces. Is this why we see provinces like Alberta passing these new laws? Because government's no longer giving them specific data, so they're collecting it themselves. Because that law's already in place in a couple different areas. Restricted sharing. The federal government now requires formal written information sharing agreements before it will hand over specific data to provincial governments. The Alberta dispute. This is why you likely heard Alberta's immigration minister, Joseph Scull, complaining that Ottawa was withholding data. Alberta has claimed they can't accurately plan for schools or healthcare because the feds aren't sharing the specific names, locations, or status of temporary residents to the province. Okay. Reporting cleanups, Immigration, Refugee, and Citizenship Canada, IRCC, has also changed how it presents its monthly data. Blending categories in some reports, the IRCC has stopped breaking down specific express entry draws, the Canadian experience class, and instead groups them all under a broad federal high skilled category. This makes it harder to see exactly which types of workers are prioritized. Excluded temporary residents. For the first time, the government set targets for temporary resident arrivals. They exclude certain groups like asylum seekers, permanent extensions, and season workers, those public targets. This has led to the perception that the official target doesn't reflect the total number of people actually residing in the country. Okay. So recently they've started making the data unreliable. The data that they provide unreliable. They're listing new permanent residents into like different categories so that they don't show up on official figures. They're restricting data from the provinces, and they're even like excluding certain groups from their targets to make their targets look better. It seems like the Canadian government is attempting to obscure data in a lot of different ways. Why are they taking this approach? Let's see. Where we want to look at some US stories next. See if this is the government shift towards more curated or obscure data reporting in 2026 is generally seen as a strategic balancing act between three competing forces: public anxiety over housing, economic necessity, and a tightening of federal control. According to policy analysis and recent governing briefings, here are the primary reasons they are taking this approach. Managing the headline versus the reality. I mean, like, that doesn't backfire ever. The central challenge for the government, currently led by Prime Minister Mark Carney following the transition from the Trudeau era, is the political sensitivity of high numbers, the optics of stabilization. By setting the official target at 380,000, but moving 148,000 others through incremental initiatives, government can claim they are stabilizing or reducing immigration levels to ease the 56% of Canadians who now feel levels are too high. So they're basically lying. They made up an incremental initiatives category. They could lie to the Canadian people. Whoa. The statistical side door. A major part of the 2026 strategy is transitioning people who are already here, temporary workers and students, into permanent residents. Because these people already have apartments and jobs, the government argues they don't add new pressure to the housing market, even though they still count towards the total immigration numbers. I don't know how the system works well enough to really comment on that one. The housing first narrative. The government has explicitly tied immigration levels to housing supply. The 160,000 unit goal. The official stance is that by tightening reporting and reducing the new arrival count, they can close the housing supply gap by roughly 670,000 units by 2027. But like, so if they're tightening reporting, it's not actually tightening the numbers. Data as a buffer. By blending categories and being less specific about where people are settling, the federal government avoids direct daily accountability for local spikes in rent or healthcare wait times in cities. I don't see any of this. I don't see how hiding the data is going to make anything better. It's only going to make things worse. But it'll make things worse for the next guy, I guess, right? That's apparently their goal. If I had to guess, federal provincial jurisdictional friction, the passage of Bill C-12 in March formalized a gatekeeper role for the federal government. Information as leverage by requiring formal written agreements before sharing data with provinces. Ottawa ensures that provinces can't use federal data to embarrass the feds, the media regarding infrastructure failures. Okay, the security justification. Officially, the government claims these restrictions are to protect the privacy and integrity of the asylum and immigration system, preventing the misuse of personal data by third parties or provincial aid. Shifting economic metrics. The Carney government has pivoted the national conversation from total GDP, which grows when you add more people, to GDP per capita, which measures individual wealth. I mean, like, this is the one we always should have been looking at. By focusing on high-skilled blended categories, the government is attempting to prioritize quality over quantity. However, critics argue that by obscuring the specifics of these categories, it becomes harder for the public to verify if the arrivals actually have the high-demand skills like healthcare or trades. The government claims they do. The critical view. Many economists argue that the government is essentially inflation adjusting their immigration data, trying to make a high intake reality feel like a low intake policy to maintain social license while still feeding the labor markets. Does this lack of transparency change how you're looking at the upcoming provincial referendum on immigration? When is Alberta's provincial referendum on immigration? I've heard that's coming up. They were doing a referendum, and they're going to do a bunch of questions. October. That's a long way. I'm not going to remember that. 4 of the 9 questions focused. We'll read these 4. See, I want to get 4 of the 9 questions focused on shifting immigration power from Ottawa to Edmonton. Constitutional question. You reach your thinking model limit. Okay. Gemini doesn't give me a whole lot of questions. Who else we got? Chat GPT. Go. What are the 9 questions on Alberta's referendum that's coming up in October? Let's have a look. Now, 4 of these related to immigration, right? Non-constitutional questions. Increase provincial control over immigration. Do you support the government of Alberta taking increased control over immigration for the purpose of decreasing immigration to more sustainable levels, prioritizing economic immigrants, and giving Albertans first priority on new employment opportunities? Absolutely. Yes. Eligibility for provincially funded programs. Do you support the government of Alberta introducing a law mandating that only Canadian citizens, permanent residents, individuals with an Alberta-approved immigration status will be eligible for provincial funded programs such as healthcare, education, and social services? I mean, I don't know why it would be anything other than that. I didn't even realize it could be something other than that until I saw the question. So are you saying a random person come across the border and they can get healthcare, education, and other social services? What is that? I assume that's how it is because how that's question. So in Canada, does an illegal immigrant get health care, education, and other social services? In Canada, access to public services like healthcare, education depends heavily on your legal status in the country, and people without status generally are not entitled to the same benefits as citizens or permanent residents. Here's how it breaks down. So if they don't get it, oh, hello. You got a chatter. So if they don't get it, why are they putting this question in there? Using a law maintaining that only Canadian citizens, permanent residents, Alberta approved immigration status will be eligible for provincial funded programs. Like I agree with the question, but why is it here? Eligibility for provincial funded programs. If illegal immigrants already don't get social services, why is the eligibility for provincially funded programs a question on the Alberta's referendum? I don't speak Arabic. There's no way I can translate. That not go through. Let's see. The short answer. The referendum question is not about undocumented immigrants. It's about restricting access for legal temporary residents, a group that does currently receive public services in Alberta and across Canada. Here's the breakdown. Undocumented immigrants already can't access most services. The referendum question targets legal temporary residents. Key phrase in the Alberta referendum question is only Canadian citizens. The wording is specifically aimed at people who are legally in Canada on temporary status, such as worker permits, international students, temporary foreign workers, visitors who overstayed but still have documentation, refugee claimants. Okay, so that changes my opinion on the question, because illegals definitely shouldn't be getting access to those services, but if you hold a worker's permit or an international student, I believe you should. But I believe as a province we should express more control over the international students and worker permit holders that come to the province. But I still believe that they should get those services. So, increase provincial control over them? Yes. Eligibility for provincially funded programs? How are they wording that? I believe they should still get the services. Do you support the government introducing a law amending? So no, I would not support that. Yeah. Translate to Arabic. I think I'm good there. Hard enough for me to keep track of this just in English, I'm afraid. Residency requirement for social supports. Assuming that all Canadian citizens and permanent residents continue to qualify for social support programs as they do now, do you support the government of Alberta introducing a law requiring all individuals with a non-permanent legal immigration status to reside in Alberta for at least 12 months before qualifying for any provincially funded social program? So now they're asking, would you be okay requiring them to be here for 12 months before they provide social program? So this is speaking about the same group, right? This is speaking about legal temporary residents. So work permit holders, international students, temporary foreign workers. Assuming that all Canadian citizens and permanent residents continue to qualify for social support programs as they do now, do you support the government introducing a law requiring all individuals with a non-permanent legal immigration status? Non-permanent illegal immigration status. To what? Non-permanent legal immigration in Canada refers to people who are legally in Canada but are not citizens or permanent residents. These are individuals who have temporary status, usually with an expiry date. Temporary for, oh, it's going into more detail here. So this is the same group, people in Canada on work permits, international students, visitors, tourists with extended stay, refugee claimants. So this one I would not support. Like, what's the point of not providing them services for 12 months when they get here? I would like increased control and knowledge over who is coming, but I like holding services from them for 12 months just seems pointless. Either they wait the 12 months and then use the services, and what, like they don't have a kid that goes to school or something? They can't go into the hospital? Oh, that probably, so I'd probably be a no on this one too. Oh, charging fees for health/education, assuming that all Canadian citizens and residents continue to qualify for public health care and education. Alberta charge. Do you support the government of Alberta charging a reasonable fee or permit to individuals with non-permanent immigration status living in Alberta for their and their family use of the healthcare and education system? Again, I would probably right now say no. I really want the first one. Like, give us the first one. These are things that you would do if you don't get the first one. Increase provincial control over immigration. Proof of citizenship to vote. See, this is something that the US is doing too. They wanting to get like an ID to vote. Do you support the government of Alberta introducing a law requiring individuals to provide proof of citizenship, such as passport, birth certificate, or citizenship card, to vote in Alberta provincial election? I mean, like, I don't see any harm in that. I think I'd support that. Like, I don't think it's a big issue, non-citizens voting, just because like the crime has an outsized like the negative effect of getting caught for that crime outsized for the actual effect you're doing massively. But I got no problem supporting. I got a passport, I got a birth certificate. Both of those would be easy. I'd actually want to. I'll probably look into that one. a bit more because the U.S. is going through it. So there's guaranteed that there's a lot of good evidence for both sides. But we got to what, October 19th, so we still got a while. So I haven't made my mind up. No, 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 yes. If we can't get this, then these ones might change. Like charging fees, if we can't increase our control over our immigration, charging fees is a way you can increase your control over immigration. But ideally, you just get increased control. Okay, constitutional questions. Province selects judges. Do you support the government of Alberta working with the government's other willing provinces to amend the Canadian Constitution to have provincial governments, and not the federal government, select the judges appointed to provincial king bench and appeal courts? So moving the power to select judges from the federal government to the province. No, I got no idea. Generally, taking power away from the federal government. Provincial governments are the same way. I don't know. Ideally, doesn't the US have like justices that are elected? Does the US elect judges? And if so, is that a better system than appointing them? Because I remember there's this weird thing where you'll see advertisement for a judge position. You're like, what is this craziness that I'm watching here? It's a judge trying to get elected in a specific area. Yes, many parts of the United States do elect judges, but not all. Whether it's better is debated and depends on value you think a justice system should prioritize: independency versus accountability, expertise versus democratic legitimacy. Oh, yeah, there's so much to think about when it comes to judges. US one, does the US elect judges? Yes, in most states. Okay, two, is electing judges a better system than appointing them? There are strong arguments for and against each model. Democratic accountability, judges make decisions that affect citizens' lives. Elections let the public remove judges who show bias, misuse power, behave unethically. Transparency, because judges must campaign, they typically state their views publicly, explain how they see the law, answer questions about their philosophy. I like all of that. Prevents political elites from controlling the justiciary. Under an appointment system, the government of the day has enormous power in judicial selection. Elections distribute control to the public. Arguments against electing judges. Judges must campaign, which means raising money. This is the biggest criticism. Campaign donations often come from lawyers who will appear before the judge, businesses with court interests, political parties. Oh, both sides make sense. This creates the appearance or reality of conflicting interests. Public voters don't usually know justical issues. judges deal with evidentiary rules, sentencing standards, administrative law, vote for familiar name, vote party lines. Basically, the public doesn't really understand what a judge needs to do to be a competent judge. So having them select a judge, you can't you can't like some kind of influencer as a judge. Judges may become tough on crime for electoral reasons. Research in the US shows sentences become harsher near election time. Why are you going to prison for 20 years? Oh, I was doing a crime and it was near the election time of this judge. So, boom, my 1 year sentence is a 20-year sentence. I can see both sides. Oh, I like the accountability to the public, but the public doesn't know about judge things. Undermining judicial independence, judges should be able to make unpopular decisions. Protecting constitutional rights often requires going against public opinion. Elections can discourage this. I think the public is what constitutional rights. That makes sense. Which system do experts think is better? Okay, here we go. Most legal scholars argue that appointments produce a more independent and qualified judiciary, but acknowledge appointments concentrate power in the hands of political leaders. Transparency is often weaker. There can be elitism or lack of representation. Most polls of judges themselves show appointed judges overwhelmingly oppose judicial elections. Many elected judges with their states switch to appointments. So they largely think that the appointment is better as long as the appointment process is fair. And if you had the states, let's go to the bottom line. The US does elect many judges. Federal judges are appointed, like in Canada. Electing judges increases accountability but reduces independence. Appointing judges increases independence but reduces democratic control and transparency. Whether it's better depends on which value you prioritize. Let's go all the way back up here. So, province selects judges. I think I'd support that. If the provinces, government working with governments of other willing provinces, I mean, they'll all be willing, right? To have provincial governments and not the federal government select the justices appointed to the appeals court and the King's Bench. I would agree with that. Like, the issue with selected judges, like the concentration of political power. If you move that from the central federal government, provincial government, and I think there's more accountability. Federal government can't just put people that agree with them into important positions. Okay, abolishing the federal Senate, yes, gone. Good idea. Do you support the government of Alberta working with the governments of other willing provinces to amend the Canadian Constitution to abolish unelected federal Senate? Absolutely. Please get rid of it. Also, the whole, what's it called? take its sweet time, is it? What is it called? There. So the representative of the royal family that needs to sign all these things in the law, like prime minister should be signing them in law. It's largely a ceremonial position. I believe it's a ceremonial position that we no longer need. Also, there are still places that like you have to like swear loyalty to the royal family when you're being appointed to a position. I want all that gone too. Like, let's make the federal government more efficient at what it's supposed to do, which is represent the people of Canada. So I agree with that one as well. Okay, opt out of federal programs without losing funding. Do you support the government of Alberta working with the governments of other willing provinces to amend the Canadian Constitution to allow provinces to opt out of federal programs that intrude on provincial jurisdiction, healthcare, education, and social services, without a province losing any of the associated federal funding? What? So you want to opt out of the program, but then you get all the benefits of the program? So, I mean, like, something seems wrong there. If you opt out of a program, you usually don't get to keep the benefits. In question 8 on the Alberta referendum that's coming, it says to opt out of federal programs without losing funding. How does that work? Won't you lose funding if you opt out of a federal program? Here we go. Great question. Under the current constitution, a province will lose federal funding if it opts out of a federal program. That's exactly why question 8 proposes a constitutional amendment, because this rule can't be changed by ordinary legislation. How it works today, provinces can opt out of federal programs, but they opt out, they lose the federal related funding. If you don't participate in the federal program, you don't get the money for it. Makes sense. Health transfers come with conditions. Childcare funding comes with conditions. What question 8 is proposing. Alberta wants to be allowed to opt out of federal programs and still keep all the federal funding for those areas. I don't think that's your decision, right? Because Alberta could ignore federal conditions, run its own programs however it wants, and Ottawa would be constitutionally required to send Alberta the money. I don't see this one happening. That is not possible under today's constitution, which is why constitutional amendment is required. Why Alberta wants this change? Okay. Main argument Alberta government presents: more provincial autonomy. Alberta wants control over programs like healthcare rules, social services, childcare, pharmacare, dental care, housing programs. Belief that Alberta contributes more than it gets back. Alberta often argues that it sends more in federal taxes than it receives in transfers. It does. Opposition to federal strings attached funding. The UCP government urges that federal conditions limit Alberta's ability to design its own program. So, Alberta thinks it can do it better. And it doesn't like the conditions federal government is attaching to all the money, but at the same time, like that's kind of that's like what the federal government's supposed to do, right? Like you're better off trying to change rules the federal government puts on this stuff by getting a better federal government. Hmm. This would effectively create a rule like federal money is owed to a province no matter what, even if the province refuses to meet national standards. That question's a lot more tricky. Opt out of federal programs without losing funding. Like I would like if the province had more control in these areas, but I don't know if I could support that. Like a change like that should come from the federal government. Best way to do that is just to vote in a better federal government. Puts the conditions and makes the conditions better on things. I don't know. I'll probably have to look into that one more. Pros and cons. Okay, so let's go through. I would support this. If we got this, then I would not support that. But I'd be far more supportive of these things if we did not get that. Proof of citizenship to vote. Kind of on the fence on. I generally land on the side of why not? Like, why is it necessary at the same time? So I generally would support that one. Province select judges, I'd support. Abolish the federal Senate, absolutely. I would go a little further. There's a couple other things in there we could probably get rid of. What is the individual called who signs bills into law for the royal family in Canada? I just want to know the name of that. Governor General. Doesn't really have any power, like it's just lieutenant governor. So they have them at the provincial level too. Oh, I know this is all left over from when we first made our democracy. Come on, guys, this should have been patched out like a long time ago. Governor General. Yeah, get rid of the Senate and the Governor General. Opt out of federal programs without losing money. On the fence, this one. I'd personally just like to see a reduction in the equalization payments. Personally. Anything about equalization? Let's get to the final one. Priority for provincial law over federal law. Do you support the government of Alberta working with the governments of other willing provinces to amend the Canadian Constitution to better protect provincial rights from federal interference by giving a provincial law dealing with provincial or shared areas of constitutional jurisdiction priority over federal laws when the province's laws and federal laws, giving the provinces more power, essentially. I don't know, like the federal law is so much harder to change and to make relevant for specific areas. Like we're jurisdictions, shared areas of constitutional jurisdiction. Hmm. Like I think there's scenarios where the province should be prioritized, but I also feel there's scenarios where the federal government should be prioritized. So that's a really hard one. Because it would be like a case by case basis. I'd probably say no to that. Much nuance there. And it can lead to some really weird outcomes no matter what. In the referendum that's coming up in Alberta, I didn't see anything about equalization payments. Was there any question that specifically related to this? Short answer, no. Not include questions specifically about equalization, but there is one question that indirectly touches the equalization system. Unlike equalization, which directly asks voters whether equalization should be constitution, contains no question that explicitly mentions equalization. Federal transfers, so there's no yes, no question. One question does indirectly relate to this. Question 8. Many provinces opt out of federal programs without losing associated federal funding. Indirectly affects the logic of federal transfers. Why? Because the equalization program containing national minimum standards of public services. Provinces could take the money, ignore federal standards, run programs however they want, then the equalization and transfer system would function very differently. While question 8 isn't officially about equalization, it does challenge current federal provincial fiscal framework. Ottawa's conditions on funding, national program standards, but it does not propose eliminating or modifying equalization. Alberta already held a referendum on equalization in 2021 and won't repeat immediately. Equalization can't be changed by provincial referendum alone. It requires Parliament, the Senate, 7 provinces with 50% of Canada's population. 750 rule. UCP structures the referendum autonomy, not fiscal. What was the full questioning? Opt-out referendum without losing. That's a hard one too. Like having specific standards set out for them to having conditions on funding. I'm gonna have to look into this again. There's some easy questions and there's some hard questions. In this, I'd have to ask a specific case for why that's a question. All right, well, let's move on to another. Sure. Cut video. All right. United States, let's see what the biggest stories are there. US and Iran agree to a 2-week ceasefire. Just did this earlier. Following escalating threats and military actions, the US and Iran reached an additional 2-week ceasefire agreement. Safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz. So they do get straight passage through the Strait of Hormuz. So this should largely fix the oil shot, right? We don't know what's going to happen after the 2 weeks. After President Trump issued strong warning but opted for a diplomatic pause, Okay. Artemis 2 mission completes lunar flyby. The other thing we looked into. Destiny swung by the moon, broke Apollo era records, captured historic Earth images, and is heading home. Going to the moon. Federal judge blocks Trump order defunding NPR and PBS. That's a news station, right? A judge struck down an executive order cutting public funding for the National Public Radio, PBS, ruling it violated free speech protection amid ongoing congressional funding. So the National Public Radio, PBS, got funding from the federal government. Trump was trying to remove that funding. So far, a federal judge blocks Trump's order. So, there is still federal funding to news in the US. All right. Look at some global or international stories. See if there's something good here. Ongoing Israeli actions in Lebanon and regional fallout from conflict. I hear that their invasion of Lebanon has not been going so well. Israel announces plans to wind its invasion of southern Lebanon, while civilian casualties, strikes, spillover effects, US-Iran war, 1,000 deaths, related operations, escalation risks for destabilizing the Middle East and ceasefire effort. Yeah. Can I get an update of the ongoing conflict between Israel and Lebanon? Can you also recommend a short video that goes into what is currently going on the ground? I'm not sure if I'm able to, like, what I can show, right? Short video. I can't show anything too violent, right? Iran accepts ceasefire after Trump paused bombing. This is what remains after Israel strikes on towns across southern Lebanon.
We have the Truth Social report on social media page, which is given added veracity by the fact that the White House has now formally posted it out, in which it is confirmed that President Trump has agreed to this 2-week ceasefire at the request of the Pakistani Prime Minister and the Field Marshal of Pakistan, Asim Munir. But there is a catch in it, a very important point that wasn't made clear in the original reporting a few minutes earlier. He says, agreeing to the complete, immediate and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz. This is one of the conditions for the ceasefire that the president has just expressed. So this is very important because President Trump is saying, yes, I have agreed to a 2-week ceasefire on condition that the Iranians immediately open the Strait of Hormuz. He then goes on and makes clear that this is far more than just a temporary ceasefire being envisaged. It is, from his social media post, the possibility of the beginning of a longer negotiation process, because what he says is that the US has received a 10-point proposal from Iran, which it believes is a workable basis on which to operate. And he adds a 2-week.
So you just bomb them long enough to their peace proposal starts to get closer to your peace proposal, to where it's acceptable for you to, if they've come far enough that now you can accept the peace. And if they're not there yet, then you just keep bombing them until they get closer. And it seems we might be there.
Period will allow the agreement to be finalized and consummated. So this is a very significant point as well, because what President Trump is announcing here in his social...
I've gotten off track. I was looking up Lebanon information. How did I? Okay, let's just read. April 7th, 8th. The conflict between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon, often referred to as the 2026 Lebanon War, is ongoing and has entered its second month. Reignited on March 2nd, 2026, when Hezbollah fired projectiles into Israel in retaliation for the assassination of Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah al-Khamenei amid the broader U.S.-Israel military actions against Iran. Israel responded with intense airstrikes, followed by a ground offensive that began expanding significantly around mid-March. Israel forces are conducting operations in southern Lebanon, with reports of pushing deeper, destroying infrastructure and establishing a secure buffer zone along the border, potentially extending towards or beyond the Latani River in some places. Isn't that a lot? Can we see? Yeah, so Lebanon is this, right? And so the Latany River, like that's the southern fifth? I remember. Can't actually see it. I think it's mostly covered by a road. Latany River comes up. Okay, so the Latany River comes all the way down. Which I guess isn't, that's the start of it, and it comes down. Like a seventh of Lebanon? Latany. Can I drop a guy in Lebanon? Come on. You know you want to. No, you see, I don't trust places. Trust places that don't let me like. Ooh, northern Lebanon lets you though. It's just southern Lebanon. What does Lebanon look like? I mean, like that's nice. Less so, a little shack. That's a fine looking gas station. This is like some northern village. That looks nice down there. Find somewhere else. Here we drop him. Nobody knows. We're still too far south. Wait, are we even in Lebanon anymore? Is that the border? That's the border. Lebanon's down here. I don't know. We were in it. let's look in this city. Yeah, they've got all this done. I mean, nice looking place. Hmm. Yeah. So Lebanon, specifically southern Lebanon, conflict with Israel. What's going on? Was a security buffer zone along the border potentially extending towards or beyond Latany River in some place, in some plans. Israeli officials, include Prime Minister Netanyahu and Defense Minister Katz, have described goals of degrading Hezbollah's capabilities, preventing rockets and anti-tank threats to Israel, creating a long-term zone where Israeli forces may remain even after. So Hezbollah is like one of those proxy groups of Iran, correct? Kind of like Hamas was. Proxy groups are not good. Casualties and impacts. Lebanese side, Lebanese health authorities reports indicate over 1,500 killed, including civilians, and estimated 400 to 1,000 Hezbollah fighters. Around 4,800 injured since March 2nd. More than 1 million people, about 1/5 of Lebanon's population, mostly Shiite communities, have been displaced. Strikes hit civilian areas, caused widespread destruction in southern border towns, and led to evacuation orders of dozens of villages. Israeli side, Hezbollah has launched thousands of rockets, drones, and other attacks on northern Israeli and IDF positions in southern Lebanon. At least 8 to 13 Israeli soldiers and several civilians killed, additional injuries and damages to homes and settlements. That's lower than I thought. Aren't they in full out ground operations? I guess I guess we watched the US go in and save those pilots and lose nobody, and they got into like ground fights with Iran. They did that. They lost nobody, so that's low. What I heard before, at least. Hezbollah claims frequent strikes on IDF troop tanks. The fighting involves, I guess it is all lost in the fog of war too, right? Like, I imagine the US has a hard time hiding a casualty, but Israel, once you're in ground operation, probably will have a much easier time. Not that I'm saying it's that much different, but that is surprisingly killed what 400 to 1,000 of their fighters and lost 8 to 13. Maybe they're just that much better. The fighting involves a mix of Israeli strikes, artillery, and ground raid. No comprehensive ceasefire is in place. How has Israel's invasion of Lebanon been going? Have they conquered the ground that they want, or are they stalled? Let's see. Are they progressing, or is it stalled out? The first thing is like mixed results. Okay, so there's not going to be a definitive answer here. Still, having been in active war for reignited on March 2nd. So a little over a month. They have lost 8 to 13 men. That's good. Like, that's a low number of casualties for a month of heavy fighting. As of April 7th to 8th, roughly 3 to 4 weeks into the ground phase, Israel's military operations in southern Lebanon are progressing with steady territorial advances, but have not yet fully secured the long-term security buffer zone up to the Itani River that officials have publicly outlined as the goal. The invasion is not a full-scale conquest of Lebanon. It focuses on the southern border region, that region where we couldn't drop the guy and have Google Maps can't even get to that region. But it involves significant ground incursion support, airstrikes, artillery, and demolitions. Israeli forces are expanding control rather than stalled, though Hezbollah continues guerrilla-style resistance with rockets, drones, and so it looks like they're making progress. But it's not going to be, like, it's not going to be easy. Hamas in Gaza Strip basically had fully surrounded, right? You don't have that luxury in Lebanon. Ground offensive launch began in earnest around March 16th, so it wasn't in earnest until the 16th. The IDF divisions, including 21st, 146, and 162nd, crossed the border for targeted operation to establish a forward base area and push Hezbollah forces back. Israeli troops have pushed 5 to 10 plus kilometers deep, multiple sectors. Okay. Lebanon is it's a weird one. Because, like, Hezbollah is not the leader of the nation of Lebanon. They're, what I understand, a political group that is active in the southern regions of Lebanon that is highly militant. What is Hezbollah's power in Lebanon? I hear they're just a political party, but how does that work? How does their military compare to the Lebanon military? Blending government with gone. All right, we're gonna move on after this. See if there's a story to look. We're probably almost out of questions anyway. Hezbollah is not just a political party, it's a hybrid Shia Islamist organization with intertwined political, military, and social wings that function as what analysts would widely call a state within a state, Lebanon. This structure is enabled by Lebanon's fragile sectacular power, sharing system, confession, its weak central government, as well as origin as a resistant movement against Israel in Israel's 1982 invasion, heavy Iranian backing. It participates fully in politics while maintaining an independent armed forces that the Lebanese state has historically been unable or unwilling to disarm, largely to avoid civil war. Oh, so it functions as a state within a state. How does it compare to the Lebanese armed forces? Fighters to like 50,000 to 80,000. Guerrilla tactics. So this is a significant military force in Lebanon. Like 50 to 80,000, that's not a significant difference, which is why Lebanon hasn't been of them. Great. Let's move on. Where were we? Split that. Perfect. Okay. Russian profits from oil price surge amid Iran war. Russia reported surge profits as global oil prices spiked due to disruption in the Strait of Hormuz. Sanctions, dynamic ties to the Iran conflict. IOC bans transgender women from Olympic competition. The International Olympic Committee put a ban on transgender women category, citing fairness and safety in elite sports. Why it matters. The policy reshapes international athletic governance and sparks global debate on inclusion versus competitive equality. My personal opinion, if you trans in any way, either way, you just don't get to compete. I do see trans men, trans women different from women. Competitive aspect. I've got no problems with a trans woman or a trans man competing in male sports. But they're not women. They shouldn't be in sport. That's my personal opinion. So I say that this is a good thing. The International Olympic Committee. I figured that they've probably done this already, but I mean, better late than never. Okay, let's see if there's any upcoming events. G20 summit preparation on U.S. presidency in Miami. U.S. hosting the 2026 G20 in Miami, emphasized economic growth and innovation themes. Many advances amid the Iran ceasefire, global energy shifts. Okay, Artemis 2 returned. Post-mission briefing. Oh, great. Keep track of Artemis 3 and Artemis 4. Potential Iran ceasefire implementation and Hormuz monitoring. So the ceasefire had a condition where the Strait of Hormuz must be open duration of this ceasefire. It says it right there. The 2-week ceasefire requires verification of safe passage and de-escalation steps, with deadlines for further negotiation approaching. Because this just happened, I don't know if we're going to see ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz immediately. Like, from what I can tell, the Iranians have held their structure together pretty well. So the issue with decapitation strikes is if you no longer get a consensus, they don't have someone on the other side that can negotiate for the whole regime. You have a problem where it's like, yeah, we'll do a ceasefire, but then one group is like, no, and don't support it, and they still launch rockets, and that can screw everything up. There's one group that doesn't follow the ceasefire, and then you're back to bombing. So hopefully this holds. I guess we'll have to see. Where's that? Strait of Hormuz. Let's see, is there any news about this? 3 hours ago, ceasefire in Iran. President Trump holds off on power plants and strikes subject to Iran's reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Don't have them. Iran TV, Trump, open the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah. Is it closed? Pakistan closed. Russia strange. Of course. France doesn't look like China. Open. We just passed through. Trump. Okay, not following that. Strait of Hormuz nearly open. Missiles halted. Threats worked. Market, but one bad move back to total destruction. I mean, that's what we're gonna figure out, right? Like, do they have enough collective control over all of their units that are designed to be able to fracture off and still function to keep the ceasefire? Justin, video shows ship traffic in the Strait of Hormuz over the past 24 hours. It doesn't look like they're passing through to me. So, oh, that's a while ago, I guess. I wanna see this now. Are we getting a massive number of ships passing through or not? I don't think it'll be reported really until tomorrow. Okay, underreported but important stories. Pacific salmon strategy results. Renewal mid climate pressure. I don't really care about salmon. Please read it. Phase 1 results. The initiative highlighted ongoing threats to wild salmon, prompting federal renewal focused habitat restoration. Going well? Okay. Alberta earthquake and regional seismic activity. 4.5 magnitude earthquake struck north of Edmonton, felt by hundreds damage, but raising awareness of seismic risks and increased monitoring of industrial activity, natural shifts intersect Western Canada. First I've heard of that. I mean, a 4.5 magnitude earthquake is not much. I mean, if there can be a small earthquake, then there can be a bigger earthquake. Neglected global displacement crisis in Africa. Multiple African conflicts continue to drive underfunded humanitarian emergencies with negligible media coverage despite high human costs. Lack of attention delays aid and allow instability to worsen. Spillover risks to migration and security. Trend summary: the past week defined by de-escalation signals, U.S.-Iran conflict alongside advancing space milestones and defense realignments. Wow, energy market volatility and environment/biodiversity pressures underscore long-term vulnerability, global stability, and resources. So then, is this ceasefire going to bring down global oil prices? Because eventually it will, right? Like, if, as long as the Strait of Hormuz is open, you got oil shifting, prices should stabilize. Tankers move so slowly that the true effect of this lack of global oil hasn't hit us yet. So we're still going to get, like, fundamentally, it should still get worse or it gets better. But then so much of the oil market is like an oil futures market, betting on a future price of oil, and if supply has stabilized, the cost of the futures market should stabilize, right? So that'll, even though the true effect of the oil shock is just hitting, should see stability as oil is traded in a futures market. Okay. From my understanding, because of how slow oil tankers move, the true effect of closing the Strait of Hormuz hasn't been felt yet. Now that there's ships passing through again with this de-escalation, is this likely to bring down oil prices, or will we still see a rise before oil prices drop? Time. I think I'm gonna play a video game here for a little bit before I get off. Not sure which one yet. Open up Twitch. See what probably show stuff. Just see what popular. Take me to the main page. It wants to keep sending me to my page because I'm live. How do I copy? Okay, we gotta get back to this. Be doing it in my specialty, but here, I've got specific instructions laid out for it. Question. Try it again. Schedule. World of Warcraft is still surprisingly popular. Ooh, okay, found it. Oh. Really? A lot of people are still watching World of Warcraft. Thought. Just chatting, League of Legends, Valorant, like Overwatch is still. That surprised me. I thought Marvel Rivals was getting more popular than at least Twitch. Fortnite. Never got into Fortnite. So Overwatch or League of Legends. Can I play any of my strategy games? Are any of those popular? Let's see. Profile. That sucks. Rocket. Nano? Oh. Alright. Well, probably just play League or Watch then. Okay, let's see. Yes, your understanding of the tanker lag is correct, and it means oil prices are likely to stay elevated or even see some further short-term pressure upwards before any meaningful drop, even with ships now passing through the Strait of Hormuz again. We hope. Like, do these people will have a better knowledge how after Strait of Hormuz opens, turmoil will last for several. Ugh, this isn't saying like this isn't being like they're passing through now. This happens when they are. Here's the situation as of early. Based off latest report, the strait was effectively closed. Okay. De-escalation is underway, but partial and conditional. Why the lag means relief isn't immediate. Physical supply versus market pricing. Future markets are forward-looking, already partially priced in the de-escalation news. But actual barrels move slowly. Crude tankers from the Persian Gulf take 2 to 6 weeks or more, depending on the destination and rerouting, to load, transit, unload at refineries in Asia, Europe, etc. The massive volume not shipped in March is only now showing up as tighter inventories, drawdowns, and consumptions. Stopgap measures are running out. Governments bought time through mid-April. Buffers are finite and were always meant to be temporary. This included the US SPR releases, waivers on Russian/Iranian oil, Gulf pipelines reroute. Let's see. More damage adds delay. Even fully opening won't fix everything quickly. Ports, infrastructure, and production in the region took hits. Analysts estimate 3 to 6+ months for supply chains to normalize. One expert summary: even if the waterway reopens tomorrow, the disruption to global supply chains will be felt long after ships have been cleared. Near-term outlook. Next few weeks, expect prices to remain high or face additional upward pressures as the real shortage from the closure period fully hits stocks. Brent has already traded around $109, $111. What's the price of oil? Price of oil chart. Like, this isn't okay. I'm not going to be able to make sense of that one. Here we go. Is this? So is that? It's not April 8th yet. I guess in some places in the world it might be. Look at that drop. Boom. Because this is the futures market. As soon as you get peace. And then if there isn't any peace, it's just going to go right back up. But like, that's a much more manageable drop. The markets are happy. The news. 7th to the 8th. Okay, I like this site. I'm gonna leave that up so I can save it. Okay, near-term outlook. Expect prices to remain high or face additional upward pressures as the real shortage hits global stocks. Okay. Full sustained drop would likely require not just more ships moving now, but their cargo actually arriving and inventories rebuilding, pushing relief into May or long term. If de-escalation holds and flows ramp up steadily, prices should ease towards more normal levels. Any renewed threats or delays could reverse that quickly. In short, the tanker speed you mentioned creates exactly this lagged effect. The closure pain is peaking now, and reopening relief is still en route. Markets have gotten some relief from the news, but the physical barrel shortage hasn't fully reversed yet. This matches what shipping analysts and oil executives have been warning about for. So the markets have taken the news of the ceasefire well. See the drop, but it is still significantly elevated. Probably, if it holds, I imagine we'll see like another drop, and then it'll be a slow decline. Hopefully, back down where it was with cheaper oil. But it won't drop right back down. All right. Okay, we got through all the stories it brought up. Perfect. I think I'm gonna play some. I'm gonna play some League of Legends. So I've got to change a couple things over to do that. Save to AI. I don't. have a quick look. Already, Assad's regime is still standing. Temporary ceasefire reached between S. Maybe I will watch some of the. I'm gonna cut the video. US-Canada trade talks won't be done by July 1st, suggests Trump's official. So they're going to drag the trade talks out. The Iran, or well, hopefully it leads into a longer ceasefire. All right. Oh. This streamer is high on fent and just turned fucking dinosaur. Okay. I probably got to play around with it. Shows up on the shelf. All right, we'll be back in a minute. Grab a drink. And maybe get some of these. Hair transplant. Boom. Oh, all right. I'll be right back. Oh. Like, I don't know who you're saying this to. I think I got like one viewer on Kick, one viewer on Twitch, and I'm half sure that they're bots because they always show up instantly. Show up. Kick. Hey, I have no idea how it happened, but I have 4 people following me now on Kick. 0 viewers. Is this one? Showing me 1. Actual Kick showing me that might not be accurate representation. Huh. It's not showing up in the chat here either. Chat. No one watches me on YouTube at all. I don't got any followers. Twitch. Oh. It has more. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look through a few of these stories that interest me just from like the past day. And then I'll get into playing some League of Legends. Might have to learn how to ban people later. Okay. Let's see. Iranian Canadian feels sadness that regime is still standing. So this is like, from what I understand, the regime is highly unpopular. And most people in Iran want change. Let's hear the story.
Well, for our next guest,
Hold up. I also need to be able to hear it.
Well, for our next guest, this issue is both personal and professional. Kaveh Shahrouz is a member of Toronto's Iranian Canadian community. He's also a lawyer and a former senior policy advisor on human rights to Global Affairs Canada. You have family in Iran, and I'm going to ask you the question I'm basically asking all of our guests on the program this evening, your reaction when you heard the news of this 2-week ceasefire.
Good to be with you, Ian. I have a mix of emotions. I think, first of all, just a sigh of relief. I mean, if Donald Trump was actually going to carry out the kind of attack that wiped out Iranian civilization, obviously that would be devastating. The human cost of that, and just on a personal level, you know, the loss of my own family would come as a result of that. So it's a sigh of relief. But at the same time, I think there is a certain degree of I don't know what the exact right word is, but sadness that this regime is left standing. I think a few weeks ago, a lot of us that have fought for democracy and human rights in Iran for a long time thought that this regime that is so evil and has killed so many people and has tortured so many people, that this regime would fall. But it has proven more resilient than we thought. It is still standing, and I worry that it may actually end up being more cruel, if that can be imagined, and stronger as a result of having withstood American attacks.
You may have heard the...
Like, there is certainly something to that. What is it? Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, right? A lot of their power, or at least originally, came from the fact that they fought Israel way off in like 1980 something. Like, I don't know if they were successful, but they also didn't lose. from my understanding. So that was seen as like a win, and then that gave them power. That gave them more power in Lebanon. So if the regime in Iran stays, like their goal is survival, and if they achieve that goal, then that's a win for them, right? And that could lead to a much, as you said, it could lead to a more brutal regime. Like from my understanding, the person they put into power after their supreme leader died was more radical. The guy they killed.
Conversation I had with Parisa just before connecting with you, and it was clear that she, and I'm sure a lot of Iranian Canadians, were hopeful at the beginning of this military campaign. She was hoping that this would lead to regime change. It has not so far. You point out it may leave a regime even more hardline than it was before. But have you gone through those stages as well, from optimism to uncertainty to maybe despair?
Absolutely. I have to be honest. At the beginning of this war, I was, I still, obviously nobody wants to see their country of birth being bombed, but I felt much more hopeful. I felt that this regime was on its last days. I mean, the war started with the killing of Khamenei, the supreme leader, and something that I think a lot of Iranians celebrated. As the war has gone on, this regime has proved to be more resilient, as I mentioned a few minutes ago. It's been willing to fight in a way that I don't think a lot of people anticipated. And also there have been attacks on civilian infrastructure that, it's been very tragic to watch. And civilians have died, which, is always a cause for concern and sadness. So the initial enthusiasm has given way to something a little bit darker. And the worry is now that this regime is left standing, it will carry out mass executions. It will consider itself stronger and will consider itself to have stronger standing in the international community, which is obviously not an ideal outcome.
You're a lawyer, you're a supporter and advocate for human rights. The Prime Minister, Carney, has been urging all the parties to respect international law, but is also...
So how new is... Just reading the updates at the bottom too. 26 minutes. It's about breaking as it gets. Trump agrees to 2-week ceasefire with Iran if Strait of Hormuz reopens. So we don't know for sure. Like, his agreement to the ceasefire is if the Strait of Hormuz opens. Now we have to see if the Strait of Hormuz opens.
Standing by his support for U.S. And Israeli attacks. What do you make of how he's handled this situation?
Frankly, I think he's done as good a job as can be expected. I mean, it's a very thin line that he has to walk, and I think he's walked it relatively well. I think the principle of it is that this is a just war. We lose sight of that sometimes because of Donald Trump's bluster. But, this is a war against the regime that for 47 years has terrorized its own people. It's terrorized its own neighborhood.
I've seen so many people that, like, they try to downplay how the regime treats, like, its own citizen. Let's just ask. Not on chat. How many civilians were killed in the last uprising or crackdown and protests in Iran? Like, I've heard some wild numbers. So let's see what we can find here. The most recent major uprising and crackdown of protests in Iran occurred late December 2025 through early 2026. Yep. These began with economic grievances, quickly spread nationwide across all 31 provinces, took on a broader anti-government demands. Security forces responded with severe crackdown, including live animation, shoot-to-kill tactics, internet blackouts, mass arrests. Like, don't they still have an internet blackout? And alleged concealment of bodies via mass graves or withheld remains. The violence peaked around January 8th or 9th, with reports of mass killing. Death toll estimate. Death toll figures vary significantly due to the government's intentional shutdown, which means they're basically all going to be an undercount. Restricted access for independent verification, reprisals against victims' families, and differing mythologies. Here's a breakdown from major sources as of early to mid 2026. The Iran government, 3,117 total deaths. This includes 202,427 civilians and security forces combined, with the remainder labeled as terrorists or rioters. Okay, let's see what an independent group says. Human Rights Organization. Human Rights Activist News Agency. US based with networks inside Iran. Predict around 7,000 verified deaths by February 2026. So if there's 7,000 verified, we also know the Iran government is going to extreme lengths to prevent verification, including 6,508 protesters / civilians, plus some government forces, 1,000 more cases. Earlier snapshot include Iran human rights, at least 1,400 protesters. Give me some estimates. Higher / so human rights has verified / confirmed deaths approximately 7,000. So let's see what some of the estimates are. Or leaked estimates. UN Special Reporter on Iran, at least 5,000, potentially up to 20,000 based on medical sources. Local health officials / hospital records, 12,000 to 36,500 plus protesters related deaths, with peaks during the January 8th / 9 massacres. Some reports mentioned 16,500 killed and 330,000 injured. Other activists / eyewitness compilation, up to 43,000 in extreme cases, though these are less collaborative. Most independent sources describe the civilians / protester death toll as thousands, commonly in the 3,000 to 7,000 verified range. Credible fears are significantly higher totals due to underreporting. This far exceeds prior crackdowns such as. So, verified, you're looking at about 7,000. But we also know that the Iranian government are going to extreme lengths to prevent verification through internet blackout, mass arrest, and alleged concealment of bodies via mass grave or withheld remains. This is what they did to their own people. Which is why, even Iranian in Canada, they want to see the end of the.
It's carried out terror attacks all over the world. And it's one that really.
And that's not even getting into like, oh, they support Hezbollah, they support Hamas, they carry out terrorist attacks, they've launched rockets at oil infrastructure, gas infrastructure. I don't think anyone's hit a salination plant yet, but like that is who you're dealing with here.
Really can't be negotiated with. So I think there is a very good argument.
Can't be negotiated with.
Argument that this is a just war. At the same time, Donald Trump has behaved and said things that are very clear violations of international law. There have been attacks that have hit civilian infrastructure. There was an attack on a school very early on in this war. Things that can't be justified, that are very clearly violations of international law. So I think Prime Minister Carney is trying to balance both things, and this statement, I think, is as good an articulation of that as any.
Knowing what you know of the complexities of the region and the regime, do you think this 2-week ceasefire will extend into something longer?
Will it extend into something? So, I don't know that it'll hold the first night. Like I said, the US has done decapitation strikes. The regime designed itself such that when leadership destroyed, fractures, it still remains functional. So, who do they have that's speaking for all of Iran? The entire regime. Because I think it could be very possible that the current leader you're talking to doesn't have full control of the regime anymore. And there are people that are just, they were told that this happens, your job is to shut down the strait, keep it shut down. And I guess we'll probably see within the next day, does the ceasefire hold? If it does, I think then they have enough, that there are individuals with enough control over the regime. They can then make negotiations to a ceasefire. So likely, just because of how unpopular the war is in the US, to see a ceasefire, a peace deal, it'll probably last a couple of years, and then they'll probably be bombing. That's what I'd predict.
I suspect so. I think the Iranians have taken a lot of blows. I mean, they're left standing, but the upper echelons of the regime have been wiped out. Its military has been degraded significantly. So I think they are not keen to get back into the fight. And Donald Trump, I don't think, is keen to continue this fight. This has led to economic stagnation. It's led to falling poll numbers. He, I don't think, has any desire to revive the war after 2 weeks. I think the wild card here will be Israel as to whether or not they will feel bound by this ceasefire.
Yeah, like what's going to happen with Lebanon? They've gone full in to removing Hezbollah. So if a peace deal is negotiated, like, will Iran try to negotiate for their proxies?
And whether or not they will continue once the 2 weeks are done.
Kaveh Shahruz, a lawyer and former.
I mean, if not, then do they just drag the things out until Israel has completed its objectives in Lebanon, southern Lebanon?
Former senior policy advisor on human rights to Global Affairs Canada. Thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you, Ian.
Okay, that was interesting. I enjoyed that. Temporary ceasefire reached between Iran and US. Been talking about that all night. Trump suspends attacks on Iran for 2 weeks. I mean, that's kind of on the condition that Strait of Hormuz is open. We will see what happens there. Trump's threat to destroy Iran is genocidal. Former Canadian UN ambassador. I mean, like, if it brought him to the table, it was effective. I guess we'll see if it's effective or not. Canadian-US trade talks won't be done by July 1st. Okay, I do want to listen to that one. Next. Artemis 2 is setting up the next stage of space exploration. Okay. Like, I would like to have looked through these when I was talking about them earlier.
Another issue that is seizing Canadians is question of what happens with the Canada-US-Mexico trade agreement, whether it survives the Trump administration. Today, U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer said the North American Trade Pact must change as it goes under review this summer, and he expects those talks to run past July 1st, particularly with Canada.
President Trump has been clear that he is dissatisfied with a lot of the outcomes of USMCA. So while we certainly focus on the provisions, the nature of the provisions, the rules of origin, all these different things, the president is constantly looking at outcomes. We want to resolve as much as we can. We've worked.
USMCA. So rather than calling it Kuzma, they just like, let's just put the US at the front. USMCA. So they just changed the acronym. I mean, we changed, what is it, the Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America?
Really closely with the Mexicans over the past year. They've resolved a lot of issues. The Canadians, we have some issues with them that haven't been resolved yet. We aren't probably going to be able to resolve all issues by July 1st, but I think we are on track to resolve many of them and to move as quickly as we can.
At the same time, Greer said the U.S. may have to take steps to exit CUSMA in order to continue the talks. Let's talk about that with the power panel. Emily, what do you make of those comments from Jamieson Greer? To what extent should they be a concern to Canadians?
I mean, there should be a concern, but once again, I'm going to try to link all topics together. I think CUSMA being negotiated right now just highlights how our economies are interlinked and we're all sort of interdependent. And as we speak, there's actions from within the United States in terms of trying to essentially stop the president. But it's becoming very hard for even my brain, but I think a lot of people's brain, to trying to dissociate the question of how much we trade with the U.S. and how much we're saying what's happening politically and whether or not it impacts where Canada should be going next. The very first question that you asked me in terms of how could Canada...
The other people just have to sit there and smile and somebody or frown. Sit, smiles, sits, frowns, sits, frowns, while somebody else talks.
To be complicit. Very specifically, it's about weapons being manufactured in Canada.
If someone's talking, you just show them front and center. The other people can be like down in little corners. You don't need to focus on them.
Being commercialized or sold or traded with the U.S. and then being used to do war crimes. So should we have that as a conversation as part of what we do with CUSMA? You know, so it's very complex. There's a lot of business as usual, and we need to have a strong economy. And obviously, you want to have a trade within North America. But there is a way in which even this whole segment brings so much cognitive dissonance that we need to be able to put two and two together and ask ourselves those existential questions. And this is what Mark Carney has been doing by trying to get out of just the dependency on the US and make us deal more with other powers around the world. But I think maybe Canada and Mexico should also be having a side chat at a sidebar on this and trying to figure out how also their trade relationship more strongly as we negotiate CUSMA as well.
Supriya, in many ways, this conversation around Canada,
like, in a lot of ways, I feel that each side is just posturing, essentially gathering pieces. They can use it in this and they renegotiate CUSMA to try and get a better trade deal. I think it'll probably end up pretty much the same. I think there's enough pushback on Trump's economy, essentially, that he needs wins. And so I imagine there'll be some like concessions on both sides. Both sides can play off as a win or whatever. Will basically be business as usual. Because there's no way that like the amount of oil that Canada supplies to the refinery in the West, you can't cut that off. Your people just went through an oil shock. The last thing you possibly want to do is put them through another oil shock. I think it's going to pretty much end up the same.
U.S. trade, Mexico, CUSMA has been quieter than perhaps we might have expected. I mean, certainly some of the folks in the trade world I've talked to have said it's striking to them that Donald Trump hasn't threatened to totally rip the whole thing up in recent memory. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess when the bar is super low, like celebrate anything, right? But I think that is a very astute observation, and I would probably, if I had to guess, it's likely because of everything else sort of happening constantly everywhere all at once, right? I think with respect to whether or not Canada should be worried, I'm going to say something that I've said before on the panel, so apologies for repeating myself. But I think we got to think about the long game here. And I think if, I can certainly appreciate that the business community needs, stability and predictability, and a signed CUSMA deal definitely gets us there. But I think it's also important to sort of look at what other countries and jurisdictions like the EU have agreed to in terms of a deal with the US, and note that their deals are kind of crappy, and not the kind of deal.
I gotta find that clip. I'm looking for a specific clip where the leader of the EU signs a trade deal with Donald Trump. Let's see if I can find it. Because okay, we got a couple options. Because you watch the deal, and then they're talking afterwards. Trump seems so excited, and the person he's talking with is just so downcast the whole time. Okay, this isn't working. That's not working. Yeah, deal in Scotland. I don't know. I just want one of them. Here we go.
It's a good deal for everybody, I believe.
It's terrible.
Thank you very much. So we have good news. We've reached a deal. It's a good deal for everybody, I believe. And I think you were saying this is probably the biggest deal ever reached in any capacity, trade or beyond trade.
It is.
I don't know if
It's
this is the one.
it's a giant deal with lots of countries.
We have a trade deal between the two largest economies in the world. And it's a big deal. It's a huge deal. It will bring stability. It's 15% was indeed very tough.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's not the clip I was looking at. Oh, I don't know if I'll be able to find it. I thought it would show up. All right, let's get back to this.
Feel that Canada should be gunning for. So if there is a be calm and stay calm, carry on kind of thing, I think that the Prime Minister is embodying that vibe quite well. And I think that for all to be said about side chats and whether or not we should go forward, I would guess some of those are probably happening. Those conversations. But I think the best thing for Canada to do is just to be patient. I can certainly appreciate being, antsy if we blow past a July 1st deadline. But I mean, Kuzma is too important to not continue negotiating.
I largely agree there. Like, I think it's gonna take a while. They're gonna have to blow past the deadline. Probably feel the effects of not having a deal before it pushes them to sign some kind of.
Because we've gone past July 1st or whatever deadline, that gets set in the future.
Lisa, there's a considerable debate about the extent to which this moment, the uncertainty of this moment, is in some ways could be advantageous to Canada in this review, which is still, it's not a renegotiation. I know that's an important point, but there are still negotiations or conversations happening behind the scenes. Is that instability, does it help Canada because the U.S. is on uncertain footing and they're worried about, the midterms and whatnot, or does it just make it even harder for Canada to get a word in edgewise? What do you think?
It's pretty complex. So let me lay it out as best I can. The July 1st date is important to determine whether or not this deal goes for 10 years or 16 years. That's all that July 1st is about.
Oh, so it's not like an end to anything.
The reason why we're negotiating is twofold. One, hopefully get a 16-year deal as opposed to a 10-year deal. But more importantly, number two.
That way, if you're locked in for longer than because U.S., in my opinion, every 4 years usually takes a pretty big swing. And the swing it takes has been getting larger as the parties slowly become more polarized. And so getting just a deal that's locked in for longer, obviously better. Less open to the whims of whoever's currently in power.
It's all of these national security tariffs that Trump has placed on Canadian aluminum, steel, auto, etc. Those are the things that Canada's
like. From what I understand, a lot of stuff is still covered under Kuzma. So most trade is still tariff free. There are specific industries which have been tariffed: auto parts, steel, and aluminum, which is facing the tariffs in the U.S.
trying to negotiate at the table. And if it's going to be done in the construct of giving something up in Kuzma, then that's how they're going to handle it. By the way, the notion that Trump is going to give 6 months notice and leave this agreement has to go through Congress.
Yes.
And the midterms are
I mean, like, didn't he have to go through Congress to start a war? I think he just did that without Congress. I don't think you should lean on that one. Like, Trump just kind of does what he wants. Congress has not been a particular impediment to him so far. I mean, I guess we'll see. What was his last one? The birthright citizenship? That's cemented in their constitution. So he a 2/3 vote in their Congress to get through. Like I wouldn't lean on that.
So, it's getting darker and darker for him to be able to actually take that opportunity to leave Kuzma. So he doesn't have as many levers as possible, but he's got big ones. He's got national security tariffs. He's got Section 301 investigations into whether or not we have forced labor within our supply chains. Hello, China. These are real issues that Canada has to negotiate away. And if they're going to do it in the construct of CUSMA, then that's great. But otherwise, the CUSMA deal chugs on for the next 10 years. So
they're not discussing, like, it's not being renewed. Is the Kuzma deal between Canada and the US being renewed this year or just evaluated? Oh, well, that did not get Kuzma. Okay, yeah. What the 2026 review involves under Article 34.7 of the USMCA / the name it was, the name Trump wants. 3 countries must conduct a joint review of how the agreement is working. They assess its operation and can provide revisions or changes at the review. The parties decide whether to extend / renew the agreement for another 16 years until 2042, another review in 2032. This review unanimously agreed in writing. So it goes for another 10 years. If they do not agree to renew, the agreement does not immediately end. It continues until 2036. Oh, I mean, we got 10 years to negotiate the deal. You think you give Trump 10 years to negotiate and he's gonna finish it on time? Like the early time? Was it July 1st or whatever? There's no way. He'll drag it out for his whole term. Originally 16-year term from 2020 shifts to annual review in the meantime. Any party can also withdraw a 6-month notice at any time. Okay? So this isn't as big as I thought it was.
there's a rush, but not because of you needing a deal on CUSMA. There's a rush because we've got steel, auto, aluminum having big problems.
Indeed. Brad, final word to you.
The tariffs he's put on industries that are not covered by Kuzma. And so Canada, I'm going to say, wants them removed. And so if you've got to change something in Kuzma to make that happen, I mean, I don't know. It's going to go.
Yeah, no, I think what the Americans are doing is they are offering to Canadians a lot more of their positioning publicly. So it's today was about more negotiation in the public, and I don't know if today's remarks were much different from what Trump has said in the past. Mexico we're further along. we've got some here. Last week's list of the airing of the grievances, the Festivus day there, where they listed all the things that they didn't like about Canada. Everything from the digital to the cloud to dairy.
The way we say about? No, I'm kidding.
That's so they had an airing of grievances. I hear the U.S. had an airing of grievances about the Kuzma deal. Can you go into more detail there for me? Airing of grievances about the finish. No, not what I mentioned.
I'm sure that could be on the list. So, you know, and obviously we've got steel, aluminum, and autos, you know, on our list. But I think that, you know, I think the challenge is that Canada is being quiet about how it's pursuing it, and it's making, I think, Canadians anxious because we don't know. You know, like, where is our list? Why don't we have a list of our grievances? We have a lot of grievances with the United States, whether they're trade, whether they're security, whether they're things like guns coming over the border. You know, if Trump can put on digital sales tax on his list or supply management, why haven't we put together our airing of grievances to you know, politely push back a little bit? Because I think, you know, they were very smart by putting steel and aluminum and autos when they did, because now we're willing to give away things that are already in Kuzma in order to take off the latest tariffs. So, you know, where's our list is my question this week.
I would say the new tagline could be Power Panel, it's a lot more than the airing of grievances. Thank you all.
Let's see. Key U.S. grievances: dairy, poultry, eggs, and supply management. I'm gonna be honest. Like the dairy quality, poultry. The U.S. objects to Canada's supply management system, which limits imports via high tariffs and strict tariff rate quotas. Specific gripes and delays in removing Class 7 milk pricing practice, cheese production rules. I've got no idea. I do know, like, cheese is more expensive here. Dairy is generally more expensive in Canada. So wouldn't removing tariffs get us cheese for cheaper? I don't know about the specifics of that. Alcohol, liquor restrictions, and provincial boycotts. Okay, that was something that happened. The U.S. initially put on their tariffs. A lot of provinces responded by just pulling U.S. liquor en masse and not allowing it to go back up. Provincial liquor boards are accused of heavily restricting or boycotting U.S. wine, beer, Sprite. I mean, that is something that was a response to the tariffs. If you remove the tariffs, then I imagine that would be removed. Buy Canada procurement policies. Provinces like Ontario, Quebec, British Columbia have rules that U.S. says discriminate against American suppliers, making it harder for government contracts. I mean, I'm pretty sure that is also a response to the tariffs. So far, their grievances are the things that we did in response to them putting tariffs on. I mean, if the tariff goes away, the response usually goes away. What else they have? Digital tech rules, Canada's Online Streaming Act, Online News Act, and Digital Service Tax are viewed as discriminatory burdens on U.S. tech companies. I don't know. I'm Canadian. I'm streaming on U.S. streaming sites. don't know enough about that one. Other Canadian specific irritants. Limits on U.S. seed export. Concerns over Canada's zero plastic waste plan. And broader procurement discrimination. Oh, I got that one from Facebook. No idea. Limits on U.S. seed exports. What? Concerns over Canada's zero plastic waste plan. That's new to me. I mean, like, I didn't know we had a zero plastic waste plan. Nobody's informed me of that. I mean, I still waste the same amount of plastic as I always have. Rules of origin and auto manufacture. The U.S. wants stricter / higher regional content requirement. I mean, to prevent Chinese good via entering via Mexico or Canada. Okay, so that is something that I actually like. China does subsidize specifically their electric vehicles massively, which makes them far cheaper than when anyone else can build electric vehicles. And so if we want to build, if you want to have your own electric vehicle system, you do have to insulate it from subsidized Chinese vehicles. Like, I know Canada has recently agreed to, what is it, let in 59,000 EVs, China. This is largely in a response to the tariffs. I could easily see that just probably being let in for a year and then going away, if depending on how Kuzma goes, because in the end you want auto manufacturing in your country, and if stricter regional requirements is what gets auto manufacturing back in your country, I'd say that's good, personally. So I think that this is something that could actually help Canada. Although I do not have a deep understanding of it. But if it gets specifically the tariffs on autos and manufacturing gone, I think that'd be worth it. Labor and enforcement. Strong implementation of USMCA's minimum wage rules, especially in Mexico. I mean, that doesn't sound like a grievance to us. I mean, we got a pretty high minimum wage here, I think, as compared to in Mexico. Energy and other disputes. Complain about Mexico favoring state-owned. That's not us. Some cross-border electricities with Canada. Again, those only started once the tariffs went up. So a lot of these are things that only happened in response to the tariffs. I don't understand the digital tech rules. This seems like something minor. Rules of origin. I actually kind of agree with that one. If it gets the tariffs gone and brings back manufacturing. On autos. Maybe, okay. Labor and enforcement. Those aren't directed at us. Except for a response. Like, these don't seem like hard things to resolve. I don't understand the dairy, poultry, and eggs. I know that our dairy goes through specific standards. Standards are not the same as they are in Canada, and that's why that's one of those non-tariff trade barriers. I don't understand that system enough. Alcohol, liquor production. I mean, these can all be resolved, I think. And Kuzma isn't really so it's not, if they don't reach a requirement, then it ends. If they don't reach a deal, then there's 10 more years of the current deal, nothing changing. Have the ability to make changes to it this time. Okay. I saved this, right? Yeah. So that's nice. Ooh, I got a lot of clicks. All right, I'm gonna play. I'm gonna play League of Legends today. All right, I need to update streams to do this. League of Legends. League of Legends. On YouTube, I think I switched to entertainment. Gaming. Oh, YouTube had a gaming section. I've just been putting it into entertainment or news and politics. Oh, okay. We get a box. The box we can buy. Let's open. Two boxes. My biggest problem is that I can't bring myself break down any of the skins I might like. Okay, there's one. Jam. I know I will never play Sky. No point. What was that ward I got? I turn you into essence. I have the essence to get something I want. Now I have decision fatigue. I don't know. I mean, that looks like a cool. I already have a nice Ari skin. That's a legendary. Can't get rid of it. I'm just gonna play. I'll make that decision later. got? Who do we got? Look at the bruisers. Oh my god. I can't play her. I can kind of play him. Well, it looks like we're just gonna have a bunch of tanky boys. Always good. As long as I'm hitting my hooks, nothing else will matter. They got some tank. Do we have a game without a single ADC in it? No. Stream's freaking out. Looks like we're back. That's actually decent. Ooh. Okay, no. That's what I'm going for. Burn on a hit. And infinitely stacking burn. I mean, we're just going to be slapping each other a lot. Yes, that was bad. Let's go this way.
It'll dry.
With preservance. And all of a sudden you actually get a lot of healing. I mean, I think we're winning. We're definitely winning. Oh, got him! And then I mean, this is a slap fest. His stupid things here. They look like units, so I'm not grabbing them. I still got my flash, but I don't think they have the damage to really make me need to use it. Okay, get away. He's gonna come and try and slap. How are we doing? It's just a bloodbath. Huh. It's just a bloodbath on both sides. Like their Zyra's getting a lot of damage in. I think our Veigar is. Give me no. They wait till the hook's over. Ooh, I finally got my everybody take. And then we all just gotta punch him really slowly. I'm gonna flash and see if he walks up. I mean, I'm gonna get a kill. Oh. Heavy hitter, absolutely. Mountain Soul. Oh. How much do I do extra? 77. Who's got magic missile? Got him with a snowball. No, that's not who I wanted to hit. That's who I wanted to hit. Alright, come on, come on, keep coming, keep coming. We'll take you into the, I say you want to get out of there, Leon. That's not a friendly place to be. Ah, went the wrong way. Although I can get my... Okay, they let us clear it that way without even trying to. Like, why would you throw the tank? I guess technically. Oh, I'm still alive. Well, there's our damage right there. Mordekaiser. Yeah, he got the ult on. he wanted to escape so bad. What did they have more? The EP, she's the only real damage we're gonna be facing. Oh, I kinda wanna build a little damage. Oh. Okay. Over. We're back. It's just a slap fight, but we are definitely winning. I'm trying to get... Come on, I want to hit him. I die. Here we go. I have heavy hitter, which builds off my health. So I want items that maximize health. Why? You threw me in front of you. It's like you didn't want to run away. I have enough healing, right? Because of that one. Dodging. I'm just gonna take the turret. Stop. Okay, don't chase it. Do that. That's the first thing they teach you. Okay. Let's just try and get these frogs. Might still need Warmonger's armor. My healing is still. Without Warmogs, I don't get all the way back. Picked him up. Oh, wait. Won't let me undo the completion of that item because it changed right away. I mean, we won that fight. We do got more kills. Heart Steel, 780. Where am I at? They have that. I'm not gonna participate. That looked like a bad idea to participate in. I'll absolutely stand around. Got speed. Oh, this is going to be an absolute slap fight. So many tanks, so many Heart Steel procs. I think we're winning though. I'm not going to avoid that. Ooh, he got him in an ult. Hey! That was well done, team. We got them all. Lost nobody. Come on. Oh. Okay. Back to the fight. I got my ult. Okay. They just kind of ran at our... We do need a reset. Feel the burn. Feel the burn is great. I want to make sure they feel the burn. I'm actually going to go try and get this next. With that, with one big damage dealer, he is absolutely going to get destroyed like that. You gotta get her. What happened? I looked away over at this guy and she suddenly died. Oh, he got drop kicked. That's great. Like that might be GG for them. Ooh, we got a big guy here. We probably shouldn't be there. Holy, there was so much CC. Get rid of that. There's gotta be a way to better use that item. That. I took mostly magic damage. Oh. Yeah, I don't want him to destroy this. There's no way. The health is just... Gotta get that on him. My job is to keep the little guy alive. I'm pretty sure him and Mordekaiser are our entire, all of our damage. Mundo has an execute. I mean, like, you're so big. Get over here. So big. I don't kind of pull back. Tried it. No.
Enemy double kill. Haste. They'll pay in flesh.
Like, he is just so much health, man.
Their inhibitor's back.
You want to ult one of them.
Enemy killing spree. Your ally has slain an enemy. Your ally has slain. Your ally shut down an enemy. Your ally got a double
I don't want him hitting me. You got an execute again, that's good. Where's our guy going? Can he go back and heal? Ooh, he's got the cheat. He's got the cheat. I don't know if we've got enough time to end here. Let's at least try. Ooh, I took so much damage. All Zyra. He takes like, ooh. We gotta get on Zyra. Which means I gotta land a pull. Size, health, move speed. Move speed will help me get a pull. Size and health. Oh, God. What the hell? Amumu is doing huge. True damage? Baseball. Oh, magic missiles. That's doing it? I mean, we won the fight. I don't know how. I was not present. But he has... Ooh, Singed is actually scary too. If, you know... Don't die. Yeah. This is bad. 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 Oh. Mundo, what are you doing?
An enemy has been slain.
I mean, he's getting a kill.
Enemy killing spree.
Yeah, there's no way I'm gonna be able to get him on. Taking so much true damage. You. There's no way he's gonna die, and then you can't stop that. Oh. 180C. See what fix everything. Being blitz doesn't matter as much when there's no one really on their team you can pull. Zyra never came forward. Singe did a bunch of damage, huh? Okay, I think I'll play one more. Ooh. Hey, how are you doing? Oh, it's chat. Potential kick. I'm doing good. How are you?
That glimmer of hope you see, that's me.
Tank. Like that's all. I think I like Tarek better as a tank. So he's got a bunch of self-heal. So you usually don't have to go Warmox. Oh, you could build Spirit Visage, which improves his self-healing. They have no tank. Ooh, or I can get Perseverance. Is the way I think I'm gonna go. much they got magic? They got a mix. With this, I shouldn't have to worry about healing the whole game.
Crash the mountain upon them.
I can even start dancing. It doesn't matter if they poke me. Oh, it matters if they poke him though. Like I can take a lot of poke. They step forward. Yeah, there. You can't even walk up to the minions. My health bar didn't fucking.
My heart is filled with stone. I give it freely to all.
I can step over here and I can cast it on these guys. Okay, I got 4 seconds until my stun.
Let me show you.
Ooh, I didn't get it. My team's getting poked out though. Even if I'm not. Oh, the poor guy. Oh, I don't want to die yet.
You have slain in the end.
Ooh, if they had tried to die there, I think I would have had him. I'll pull back a little bit. I mean, that was sad that that guy got hit by it. I think it's a little late to try and turn this fight. Ooh, his little pull there. Those are my teams, yeah. So I can step. I mean, he walked way up. Self-destruct is fine, but heavy hitter is just better. Own guard is the best. Do I even want this? Like, I'm not hitting them a lot.
Now you're part of the adventure. You look like an aspiring patron of scientific research.
But I guess the whole point is to... Okay, we got a team, let's go. so much damage for a tank. Oh, I didn't take that off. Let's get home guard back up. And run in there. Go! Like he's got a decent bit of tank. Ooh, I didn't want to die. I'm taking a lot of physical damage.
Your ally has been slain.
Here we go. He tried to flash it. Ooh, I'm actually doing some damage now that I have.
Say hello to my little jet. This world must be preserved.
Get him! Get him! You didn't get him.
Up the mountain we go. The mountain's mysteries are known to me.
We're down. Ooh, never mind. I think he's building a lot of tank because they don't technically have a tank, right? Yeah, he went Heartsteel. That's it, I guess. That's not a lot of tank. Ooh. I mean, as long as we last long enough,
The protector
we'll win this.
speaks through me.
And our poppy's pretty good. I just want to get him off the tower. Ooh, we could roll a dice. We could roll a dice. Healing or shielding applies. Healing percent. I mean, that's good. Oh, the prismatic. That dice roll. Oh, that dice roll. We're doing it. I'm sorry. I have to do the dice roll.
We see
your ally has been slain.
What did I get? Healing and shielding also increase. I mean, that's great. Where are we at? Healing and shielding, I do a lot of both of those. My heal didn't go off. Poppy's chasing. Poppy's chasing. Not so good on the backside. Do we have? He's doing a lot of damage. With the Collector and Infinity Edge. I might invest in that helping item again. I got quite a bit of health. And now we got a full team. As soon as that goes by, I'm gonna try and get a stun on the one of them. Two of them. Okay. Well, we got the guy that was always running up front. Yeah, they beat us in that poke. That was a lot of AP damage. They just all spread out. Oh, I was being feared there. I mean, like...
That's the last of their
We managed to win that one.
You have slain an enemy. Looks like a man.
As long as I have things to hit, I heal really quick. We gotta let him come out. They have too much poke for us to fight there. That's not good. That's really not good. Ooh, his execute is huge. He's gone straight AP, that's why. No ultimate. But I did healing, shielding. That's actually really good. Drop kick's really good.
Your ally has been slain.
I mean, I know those two are great. I'm not doing a lot of battle. I need tank. Oh, she's just staying stuck in this corner. Yeah, that did not go well.
Just as the mountain is eternal, so
Man, I got... Oh, I can't use my ult again, that's right. Yeah, they're winning the poke battle. Oh, that one's good for us. Man, that did not go well. And then I got stuck. Fuck. This side, little short. Got so much poke on their team. I mean, don't go in. Wait for me. Oh shit.
Next time they will be so
damage. Alright, well I'm gonna be getting off for the night, I think. Alright, well, thanks for watching. Have a good night. I'll probably be back on Thursday.